Finally got a Z-Sey Katana in my hands. First impressions coming up. First and foremost, I just wanted to thank Z-Sey Katana ownership managers for allowing me to be one of the esteemed few to get one of your katana in hand for the sake of the review. I think they only sent about 3 out, so it's an honor, it's a privilege, and thank you for allowing me to handle your swords and give my own opinion as far as what I feel about the sword. Thank you very much for that. And to all my subscribers, new subscribers, old subscribers, a heartfelt thank you for all of the support, for all the people that have been sticking with me from the very beginning. Thank you for allowing me to do what I do what I love, and getting samples now that I'm able to be getting to you. So thank you to all my subscribers. Much love and respect to all of you. So as you can see, the honors of opening up this box from Z-Sey is the Smooth Criminal from Medford Knives. Definitely one of my favorite little Medford knives. Love it to death. So it came in the typical, styrofoam box, styrofoam mess that it makes to open these things up. Normally they're yellow, but this happens to be like a brownish color, but whatever it is, it's the same type of styrofoam material that they use to kind of ship swords out of China. Now this is literally a first impressions video. I didn't do any research on this. I only looked up the link that they gave me to let me know exactly what sword they're sending me. And this is the Taiyuan sword. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing it right. I think that's how you pronounce it. So I wanted to kind of just get it in my hands without knowing anything about the steel, anything about the size, or anything about the pieces, or the Tsukamaki, anything about it. I just really wanted to get a feel for the sword in my hands for the first time without knowing anything about it. Now, it didn't come with a sword bag. Now, it was very curious to me to know it didn't come with a sword bag. I mean, I know this came in as a sample sword. I'm assuming for a customer, they would give it to you in a sword bag, or maybe they don't. I'm not sure about that. I'll find out about that. But it did get wrapped up in plastic. It was packaged pretty well. You see there is a bubble wrap at the Kashira by the handle, the Tsuka, and then there's some bubble wrap at the end by the saya. Now, I have a thing with styrofoam. I freaking hate styrofoam. As soon as you open that stuff up and it starts blowing around, it's going to go into every crevice of your home. So I just had to kind of clean it up, clean the surface here so I can show you the sword the right way. So, again, wrapped up in plastic. Not cellophane on the saya, it's just like a loose plastic, as you can see. First impressions of the saya right off the bat, I'm really liking the paint job and the varnish that they did on the saya. It's kind of like a matte saya, very low gloss. It's not a fingerprint magnet, which I really like. That's my favorite type of saya. But you can see it has a really nice luster to it with the black speckle. It's got a brown varnish or brown paint with some black speckle on it, but they did a nice job. I mean, first impressions, I like how it looks. There is some edges, sharp edges at the end there by the Kajiri with the bullhorn. We'll talk about that after. I noticed that right off the bat. But the smooth lines, smooth finish, really nice paint job on the saya. Feels nice in the hands. It's got a little distal taper of the saya from one end to the other, which is always appreciated. The Sageo is also wrapped up itself in some plastic. So I'm just kind of struggling to get that off. But what I noticed also about the Sageo, it doesn't have a really tight presentation knot that you would normally see on katana. I mean, that's not that crazy important to me because I'm always going to end up untying it when you're actually using the sword, or a practitioner is always going to be untying it anyway. So it's kind of like just a quick knot type of thing, but doesn't have a really good presentation knot. And from speaking to Karl, he also had some kind of a knot exactly like this. But the Sageo itself, pretty good quality, very thick, Sageo. I don't know if it's coming from Japan or if it's Chinese made, but it's a very good quality Sageo in a very loose knot, which is going to end up kind of coming apart anyway. What I also noticed is that the shitadomes in the Kurogata knob are glued in. Shaking it around to see the light. It's a very light sword. It's a very light sword. Not too light as I heard other people say, but it's definitely a light sword. It's a nimble sword. I'm imagining it's going to be pretty nimble and light in the hand in terms of swinging around. You notice also they wrapped up pretty well the Tsuka itself, which you normally see on, you know, swords coming in. Obviously, they want to protect that, you know, with shipping to make sure it comes in intact and it doesn't loosen up in shipping or anything like that or move around. So I'm cutting it up, trying to get that out to you so you can see it. So fast forward to a couple minutes later, finally got the plastic off, and like any katana enthusiast or any katana lover, when you get the Tsuka in your hand, the first thing you check right off the bat is to see how tight the diamonds or how tight the Ito is, and if there's any movement or play, because that's always important. You don't want to have any play in the Ito because it's going to run in your hands, it's going to be uncomfortable to use, it's going to unwind with a lot of use, and you want to make sure that when you're getting a brand new sword that you do have a tight Ito. So I noticed the Kashira is pretty tight, the knot is tight, and yeah, after moving it around, I noticed it is a pretty tight wrap. You can move the knots or move the diamonds probably about 1 millimeter or 2, which is very, very good. It's very acceptable to be able to use without having any worries of it coming apart. Showing you the saya again, really checking out the saya. I'm really digging how the job they did on the saya, but the tightness so far of the Ito is pretty good. I noticed just right in the beginning, the diamonds are a little small for my taste. They're a little small for my taste, and they alternate a little differently. They don't line up exactly what you would want to see in a very high quality sword. And again, you know, cut to the chase, guys, this is a very high quality sword, but I feel like the diamonds could have been done a little bit better, and the diamonds could have been a little bit bigger. The Kashira there, it's a really nice casting. I mean, it's definitely not handmade, but it's definitely a beautiful casting. It looks like it might have been a brand new casting, but it's something different. You don't see this type of casting. I haven't seen this design in any of the production swords out there, at least from what I've seen. It looks pretty different, looks pretty unique. Here is the Tsuba. You know, I have a love-hate with the Tsuba. I feel like this Tsuba, if it was on a different sword, it would look a lot better. I feel like it just doesn't match up. I feel like if they would have put like more of an antique type of Tsuba on this, which Karl also agrees with me because we spoke about it earlier, it would look and fit a lot better on this sword in terms of the motif and the color scheme. Also, the black Ito is, they should have made a brown Ito on this. I think the black kind of just sticks out a little bit too much. Your eyes draw a little bit too into the Ito being black. It should have been like a brown or a dark brown Ito. You see the blade for the first time there. You can see even right through the plastic, it's really shining through. It's a really nice job in terms of the polishing of this blade right through the plastic. You see how it's shining in the light. But I'm going to definitely show you up that blade and show you the blade and what they do and what Z-Sey is known for in terms of their blades, to show you exactly what it looks like. This is not a completely detailed close-up review that you normally would see, but this is, again, first impressions. But right out of the box, right out of the plastic, I'm really impressed with the polishing job that they did on this blade. This is the Nagasa from Z-Sey, the very popular Nagasa from Z-Sey. You've seen a lot of their pictures on their websites, and I can only speak for the one I have in my hand, but the one I have in my hand is polished really well. The Shinogi G, the Ha, you notice the different types of polishing jobs that they did on it. It's very clean lines, very beautiful in terms of appearance. It really shines in the light. I'm really happy with how this came out. Here's the Habaki. It's a copper Habaki and copper seppas. I have seen this design similar on other swords, but this is definitely a little bit more on a unique end on the Z-Sey sword. It's similar to others, but it's definitely unique in its own right. Right from the get-go, it's there are some black blemishes on it. I am going to try to hit some brass cleaner on it, to try and kind of get the blemishes off. But out of the box, there was some blemishes on it, which I think I could probably brush out. Doing the fingernail test now, that's my test to see how well the Habaki is fit around the blade, around the Nagasa, or around the tang. And I can I can't get a fingernail in it at all. It really hugs the blade extremely well. which shows a great fit and finish, or it's fitted right to the blade. You notice as I'm spinning it around how it hugs tightly onto the blade, and that's always appreciated to have that type of fit and finish of the Habaki on the blade. But as I take it apart with my detailed review, I am going to show you how well it fits and how well it comes apart and how well it goes back together, and that ultimately would show you how well the Habaki is fit onto the blade. The boshi, or the termination, as soon as I can get this thing focused, the termination of the yokote, or the mid-air hamon, which is also very prominent on this blade, is beautiful. It's the termination is done very well. You could tell they took a lot of pride in making this sword. When you see a kasaki with the boshi and the termination of the hamon into the boshi, that's done as good as it's done here. You can tell they put a lot of pride into making up this blade. It just shows you a testament for and how well it was made to see a good polishing job in the boshi section of the blade at the kasaki, and I'm liking what I'm seeing with this so far. It's got a really nice, lustrous, clean look. From seeing a couple Z-Sey swords on their websites, I was expecting to see a very prominent, very lustrous hamon, and this is definitely no exception with the sample sword that they gave me. There really is so much that needs to be talked about when you do a katana review, but you can see here how the Samigawa is of really good quality. Again, checking the tightness there. There are some emperor nodes. Well, I wouldn't call them quite emperor nodes, but there are some larger nodules on certain portions of the race skin on this. I believe it's a panel wrap. When I do take it apart, I'll see basically how they cut into the wood and how well it was executed. But you can see the tsuba there. It's just, again, it's a nice tsuba. I just feel like it just doesn't fit the motif of the sword, as well as having the black ito. But the actual Tsuka itself has a really nice hourglass Rico shape. It does fit and feel very good in the hands. I measured the Tsuka off camera to be about 10.5 inches. My sweet spot is around 11 inches, but it does fit really nicely in the hand. It's a very slender Rico hourglass shape, which I do like, and you don't find that on many production swords to have that really expertly made Rico shape to it. And it does, again, feel really at home in your hands. You can probably try to, I'm trying to show you some of the lines. There really is no lines. There's no ripples. The blade is very well made. I didn't see any ripples or any grinding lines or anything like that. They did a really nice job in the polishing work on this blade from what I'm seeing with it so far. Really shines in the light. It catches the light on the different types of grinding on the Shinogi G, and the Ha. I'm really liking the look of this sword. I was very content with the sharpness level of this sword. It's actually, to the touch, it's definitely a lot sharper than how it's cutting the paper right now. I just had a bad paper cutting session here, but it is, believe me, it's a very sharp sword. Definitely suitable for cutting right out of the box. Very rarely do I get a sword where I feel like I don't need to hone it up. I'll probably strop it a couple of times before I start cutting with it again. But it is, believe me, a very well done, very sharp edge. The angle of the grind of the Ha was extremely well done. Very happy with the sharpness level of this sword, regardless of how it's cutting the paper right now, because I didn't have a very good cutting session. But I think it actually, out of the box, came with a very sharp edge. The Koiguchi, or the mount of the saya, pretty well done. It's shaped pretty well. It's shaped right to the shape of the Habaki. I think it's pretty clean lines, clean execution. It also lends to, obviously, how it fits, how the Habaki fits into the saya. Inspecting a little bit more there. I'm pretty happy with how clean it is. Is it the cleanest I've ever seen? No. But for what you're getting, it's for a quality sword, you would expect to have a quality Koiguchi or a quality cutout or opening around underneath the bullhorn, which is what it has there. But it gives me that old sliding like it's on rails, which I'm accustomed to seeing on a quality sword. With a little thumb push, it comes right out, it slides right out. It has just the right amount of friction to basically pop it out and also lock it into place after you're done cutting with it, returning it back into the saya. But it does move very much like it's on rails, which again is what you would expect to see on a quality sword as this, and in terms of what it's priced at. And if I didn't mention it, which I'll mention it later in my review, this sword is in between the $700 to $800 range. Shaking it around, there is no sword rattle. It's nothing that's audible. It's something only as a feeling. On certain parts of the blade, I can feel it rumble very slightly, but there's nothing absolutely, I know there's no sound on here, but there's nothing audible about it at all. At that point, I felt a little bit of a rumble, but nothing that's audible that you can hear. Either this was production made, or it was fit, the blade was fit to the saya, or if it just was a good fit of the saya that they chose. I don't know exactly how it was made, but the one I have in my hand, there is no sword rattle, and it fits really, really well. The blade fits really well into the saya, which is always something you want to see on a quality sword or any new sword that you get in your hands. You don't want it to be rattling around while you're using it, while you have it in your obi belt. So that's always a welcome feature to have in a brand new sword, to not have any sword rattle. It was really a pleasure to kind of remove the sword from its saya. At first glance, just doing some normal tests inside the house, it did feel really nice in the hands. Swinging around, it was very easy to start and stop. Again, very comfortable in the hands. The Tsuka in the hands with the shape and the tight ito, very, very comfortable in hands. I think it's some kind of a silk wrapping as well on the ito, but you can see there's a lot of control. It's a light and nimble sword. I think it would lend to be a very, very good cutter. Kind of putting it back in, it really does feel like it kind of slides in like it's on rails, and that's always a pleasant feature that I like to see in swords that are sold off as high quality swords, and this is definitely a high quality sword. You can see there's just very, very even lines on the paint job of the saya. Pretty good so far. You know, first impressions, gives it a thumbs up, definitely. This is going to be one of many videos I'm going to be doing with this Z-Sey. I'm going to be taking this outdoors, in the light, in the sunlight, show you the blade in all its glory, to show you all the pieces, take it apart, show you the guts, show you how it cuts, show you everything I can possibly show you about this sword, so you can hopefully make a decision if this sword and this sword manufacturer is going to be right for you. So until my next review, next sword, next knife, thanks for your support, guys. Much love and respect. Stay tuned for more reviews of this Taiyuan sword from Z-Sey Katana. Peace out, everybody. Ciao.